and you guys open it up for questions.
Okay.
If you want to introduce yourself first, I'll go ahead from there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Name's Gerhard Posch. I'm originally from Vienna, Austria. I was recruited to play tennis for University of Nebraska 20 years ago. I know that's kind of a dirty word around here. I've gotten the taste of that, but I'll say it anyways. And yeah, I've been a developmental coach ever since I graduated with a master's degree from Creighton. And been here in Omaha with my family, wife and 3 children, and was lucky enough, fortunate enough to have developed some really good collegiate players, which I think opened the door for a position like this.
Open up for questions. Go ahead.
I mean, the first and foremost, like Tom Lilly's been in this position as long as feels like as long as Creighton Athletics has been around.
Right.
Like, what was the process like when you knew that it was open? Like, were you eager to jump at it right away, or how did that process come about?
Yeah, I sort of kept my ear to the ground. It was definitely something that I was looking out for. It was obviously Tom's prerogative to take that decision. When he took it, I've heard from other people in the department that he was advocating for a second head coach for a long time. So finally, he sort of got his wish, and I really commend him for it. I think it's 100% the right thing to do. And yes, I kind of had an idea because I know a lot of I know some collegiate players, and I know some people who applied for the position first off, and so I know that it had been a longer process than probably anticipated at the beginning of the summer. And so eventually, my number came up, and I was glad to have the conversations that I had with Marcus and Matt, and turned out to be a good fit. And I look forward to doing the best I can to keep developing the program. They had a great year last year, and we're just looking to continue with that success.
You had any former teammates kind of reach out and give you a tough time for playing at Nebraska and now coaching?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as far as tennis is concerned, obviously we're not top of the food chain, and so for me personally, it's that the more support, it's kind of the support system. If we can build one up in terms of UNO even and the Huskers, working together as much as possible, it'd be something that I'd really support. And I wore a Creighton Blue Jays T-shirt to one of my meetings with Marcus and Matt, and they thought it was a joke, but I was like, no, I'm serious. Once I'm in, I'm all in, and so no, it's there's definitely no rivalry there in that respect, and I want the Huskers to do really well. I want Creighton to do really well, just hope that I can use this position to help grow the sport of tennis in Nebraska.
Do you have a short-term vision? I imagine just it's you're fresh starting. Like, it's tough to have a long-term one that you're going to play out. Like, that's years down the road. But like, what's your short-term vision for what you want to?
I only met everybody in the team last week, and then we had our first practice on Monday. I know that 2 of our starters from last year graduated, so there's some spots that we're probably looking to fill. But I was very, very encouraged by the team during our first meeting, because they said one of their goals to be to win the Big East Championship, to win that tournament. They came really close last year. They were the 1 seed, lost in the semifinals. And so I think it's a legitimate and it's a fair goal to have. But again, without 2 caliber players like the 2 people that left since the spring, it's going to be a real challenge. So in terms of short-term vision, I got to make sure I get on a recruiting trail as soon as possible, bring in a couple of good players, and in terms of growth or a vision, we're trying to. Well, I'll try to do the best I can to increase our budget. First off, so we have more resources, and it's easier for us to bring in more better players. If we are able to, I think currently, we set a certain scholarship number. If we can increase that, definitely gives us a chance to compete with some of the teams that they want to beat in the Big East. We looked at right now only half of our spring schedule is finalized, and so we looked at potential teams to play in the spring, and we're probably looking at teams that are ranked like in the 50s, 60s, or like 70s. I mean, ITA tennis rankings only go up to 75. But if we can be competitive at that level, I think we have a really, really good shot at actually winning the Big East. So.
What has kind of stood out from the group so far? You've had probably one or two practices with the team. What has kind of stood out from the team?
No, I mean, I think they're very put together. They're very disciplined. They're very organized. They're exceptional students. Had a really high team GPA last year. I think tennis in general is a sport that's known for a very strong academic performance. I think a large bulk of the guys that are here already, they have the tools to be successful at the next level. And other than that, it's way too early for me to say, what the lineup's going to look like or anything to that nature. But they're great people. They're great students, and we're trying to make them even better athletes.
Now, you're not from here originally,
Yeah.
But what was it about the state of Nebraska that just kind of kept you around?
I was a transfer, actually. I started out in Georgia at a junior college just because I was originally supposed to go to Indiana. And then that was kind of almost like pre-internet. Yeah. So it was like, you would talk to the coaches, on the phone if you were lucky, I mean, internationally. And the Indiana assistant coach at the time came to watch me and my practice partner perform, and then he made offers to both of us, and then it was only verbal, never signed a letter of intent. So long story short, that fell through. That happened like 2 weeks before the semester started. So I was like, great, now what do I do? And so then, the JCO I could still get in, and luckily enough, it was interesting side note is that the number 2 guy on that team, we finished second at nationals that year, but the number 2 guy on the team is now the head women's coach in Nebraska. So it was one of my teammates at the time. It was a really strong team, and we played nationals in Dallas. Dallas, a coach saw me play, made me an offer. I went to visit our university, didn't like it. Called up the JCO coach in Georgia, and he said, well, I have this connection to Kerry McDermott up in Nebraska. Why don't you give him a call? And so I did, and he claimed he had a full scholarship available, but he brought me in the spring, so it was really only half. And he kind of tested me out, but it turned out it was a great fit. I was a leading player of that program for 3 years. And I think about this on and off, but people in Nebraska are extremely welcoming, extremely kind, extremely compassionate. And I've lived in other places. I've lived in Texas. I lived in Georgia. And I kind of, like the culture is it can be very attractive, but I think there's something really special about Nebraska that you won't find anywhere else. So I met my wife here, and then the rest is history. So.